Hello and welcome to the demo video for the Milestone Payment Monitor. Now what, pray tell, is a Milestone Payment Monitor? It's a rather weird, fancy sounding title for something that really just follows a specific project type. So I'm going to briefly describe how that project type would work, or at least not necessarily a project type, but a type of process that you follow. If this sounds like your process, then this will more than likely work for you. If you have multiple projects on the go at the same time and various tasks need to be completed for various milestones. So if, for argument's sake, each project you invoice the client, say, up to 5 invoices per project, and you invoice those invoices when certain tasks have been done. So say you've got to finish phase 1 of the project, and then invoice, and then finish phase 2, and then invoice, then finish phase 3, and then invoice, that kind of thing. And you schedule your payments throughout the process, and you need to finish certain tasks in order to be able to in order to be able to issue each of those invoices. If that sounds like something you do, then this is the one that actually tracks that. Let me show you how it works. On the Enter and Setup tab, original bank holidays, new bank holidays, just read this blurb at the bottom here. If a bank holiday changes, so in other words, if one's officially changed from one date to another date, you can put in the original bank holiday dates. If we say 1st of January, for argument's sake, would be New Year's Day, it says yes, that was a bank holiday. If the 1st of January is officially moved to the 2nd of January, you just do that and it will move the date. Basically, it doesn't really matter too much to the spreadsheet, it just highlights it. So if you need to move a bank holiday, do that. If no bank holidays moved, just leave that, it'll know where they are. Days to pay invoice, sorry, how many days do you give for people to pay their invoices? You can put that in there. It just helps to remind you when the invoices are overdue. That's it. Setup done. So how do the project tab work? Now the 3 green tabs are all reports of sorts. I'll show you how those work. So this is where you enter all of your data. How does it work? Very simply put, let's have a look. Project name down the left hand side. List your project names. Down there you can see we can have up to 100 and it's line 130, so it's 120 projects. Name your projects. Simple. Now you've got your milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, 4 and 5. So those are essentially when you want to be able to send the invoices, when the various tasks that need to be done by that milestone are complete and you want to send the invoice. So you schedule that at the beginning of the project. So what you essentially do is you'll sit down and go, okay, when's milestone 1 going to be, and put in the due date for milestone 1. When's milestone 2 going to be, put in that due date. The rest of this you wouldn't have put in yet because you haven't got to the invoice date or the invoice number or the value you can put in. So you can put in your due date and you can put in the value. So you can say, for argument's sake, if you're invoicing £500 per invoice or £1,000 or 10 grand, it doesn't matter. Put the value of the invoice and the due date. The due date is more, I would say, a planned date as such, so where you can actually put it in to say this is when I'm going to issue that invoice. Once you've done that for your project, so you put in the due date or the planned date and the value for each of the different milestones. Then what you can do is if you scroll across further, you can see when that changes from green to yellow. These are the tasks. So you can name up to, I think they're 20. Let's have a look. Yes, 20. You can name up to 20 tasks to achieve for the project. So they're not necessarily little tasks like send an email, do this, do that. They're more kind of, let's call them stages of the project within the larger project. So each task you can actually name here. So you can name what that is, and then you can put the start date for that particular task, and then simply select which milestone is the end date. So for argument's sake, if the first part of the project is to collect data, so that you can actually move on, and once the data is collected you can invoice, and then you can move on to collaborating the data or analyzing the data or whatever it might be. If task 1 is collect data, you put the date when you're going to start doing that and select the milestone. In this case you said milestone 1 is the end date for that particular task, which is when it needs to be done by, and you're now going to invoice. And if you do that for all of the tasks, so go through the tasks, each task 2, 3, 4 along the thing, put in the name of the task for each project. So each project's on one line. Task 2, whatever the task name is, what's the starting date, and what's the milestone that is the completion, the target completion date for that particular task. And if you do all of that correctly, that's job done to start off with. Then all you need to do, I'll show you the graphs in a minute, but then all you need to do is, as you actually take action on those, so if you issue an invoice, go to the invoice issue date and put the date in that you issue the invoice and put in the invoice number. And if an invoice is paid, just come and put in the paid date, the date when the invoice was paid. And the same with the tasks. The tasks, all you need to do with the tasks is you've already put in the task, the start date and the milestone. All you need to do now is come in and put in the date when that task is actually completed. So when you finish the task and you go, okay, collecting data for job 1, I've done that, it doesn't have to be done again. Put in the completed date and it's job done. If you're fortunate and all of your jobs follow the same procedure, so they all follow collect data first, then the second task is always something else and something else, then that's quite useful because then you'll have the same text throughout on all these different tasks. But if it's not the case, it doesn't matter. So that's that. And if you keep that up to date, this is the only page you'd use, and you'd literally come in here as you invoice each milestone, put in the invoice date and the invoice number, and each time it's paid, come put in the pay date and put in the completed date whenever you finish your task. So keep this page up to date, and this will fuel everything else. So what does it fuel? First of all, the project overview. Here you can see a nice overview of all of your projects. So they're all in different colors, the green one, blue, yellow, and so on, they go on and so forth. So you've got your first project, you've got your second project, and your third project. The darker lines are the tasks that are still active and still due at least, and the lighter lines are the tasks that have been completed. So you can see at a glance what's been done. Also, you can see here on this Gantt chart where today is and where you're actually, what you need to be focusing on, and where your milestones are coming up. You can use a filter. You can either show all tasks, or you can actually say, let's just see the active tasks. What the active task does is it only shows you tasks that A, you're currently busy with, and B, that haven't been completed. So it'll only show you tasks that fall into those categories. You can still see where the milestones are that are coming up, and the ones obviously that have been on each particular project. And you can select there, and you can see all of the tasks, even the completed ones and the ones that aren't necessarily active. This will show you a 2-month period. If you want to show a different 2 months, it'll show you the current month as the first month, and then the next month as the second month. If you want to override, simply come here and put, for example, if I said I wanted to see from February, just put any date in February, and then you see it'll show me February, and then March will be the second month. So you can basically choose what is the first month shown here. If you leave it blank, it'll take your current month as the first month. So that's the first thing it does, project overview. That in itself is quite useful to be able to see all your projects in one Gantt chart, all the different tasks that need to be done, and where you are at the moment, and which projects and which tasks are actually are busy with right now. The second thing is it gives you a payment schedule. So the payment schedule will show you all of the invoices that have either been issued or future invoice, whatever. It'll show you everything down here. If you select due date, i.e. the schedule date for all invoices, which in brackets is all your invoices. Or you can say, well, actually, I'd just like to see the ones that have been invoiced. So you sort by invoice date, and only shows you the ones that have been invoiced. Or you can say, actually, I'd like to see the outstanding. That's the same list. And if you say you'd like to see the by paid, at the moment none of them have been paid, so it doesn't show up any on the list. So you can basically filter them. If you select any of those dates, not only does it filter by the invoices that meet that criteria, but it also sorts them in date order. So you've got your milestone, your payment schedule, and what it has been invoiced. So that's quite handy to have. You've also got your project overview, and the last thing that happens is a report. Very simple. This is the project milestone overview. So what this does is basically just gives you a milestone of overview of all of your projects and the milestones, that kind of thing. So again, this is a 12-month period. So the 6th month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be your current month. If you want to override that, you can put any date in the 6th month. And so you can see 5 previous months and 6 months coming up. You'll be able to see what milestones were scheduled, or what value of milestones are scheduled, i.e. invoices, and you can see what's actually been invoiced and what's actually been paid each month. Now, because you haven't paid any off, you won't see any things showing up as paid. So you can basically see over that 12-month period, A, what have you got scheduled to invoice, B, what have you actually invoiced, and C, what's actually been paid each month. So that's quite useful. The other thing is an active tasks each month. So what this does is, it's a complicated thing to explain, but basically each month, not including future months, it won't add on tasks that are coming up. It'll only add on tasks that have been added the latest the month that you're currently in. But what it does is, if for argument's sake last month you had 8 new tasks starting but you finished 7 tasks, it's only going to add 1 new task on. If you had 8 new tasks finishing but you finished 9 tasks because you had 3 outstanding, then basically you drop a task. So if you follow this, eventually when you've done it a few months, it'll start to create. I could have actually done this as a line graph. That would make sense. You'll start to see these towers go up. If the towers start to go up, what that means is that you're actually starting more tasks than you're finishing. And if the lines go down, it means you're actually finishing more tasks than you're starting. So you can see how your workflow is going. That's the idea anyway. And if you scroll down to the last one, this is kind of like the payment one, but what it does is it shows you each month how many new tasks are starting. It shows you each month how many of the tasks due that month were completed and how many of those tasks due that month were actually outstanding. So you can see an ongoing graph for that. So yeah, that's just a report overview of all your projects. You can come here and you can see how your projects are going, what payments are expected, that kind of thing, how your workload's going, and each month by month as far as what tasks were started and finished. Again, you can override the 6-month in this 12-month process if you want to. So if you want this 12-month as a fixed period of time, like a financial year or something, just put the 6-month in there. Your payment schedule, remember you can have a look at all your payments, filter by the particular criteria. Project overview, show all the tasks or just the active ones. But everything you do gets updated on this sheet. So keep this up to date. If you want to remove a project, if it's finished, you can come along. You can select that row like that. You can highlight all the way across, select all the way across, right click, clear contents. And once you clear contents, just sort again by the project, alphabetical order, whatever else you want to do, or you can even sort by the first milestone date or the first task date or whatever to put them into order if that's what you want. And that's it. Keep this page up to date, and everything else will do what it needs to do for you. So if that's something that helps you, I really do wish you the best. My process follows a very similar kind of thing. I follow a very similar process to what I've outlined here. And I think that if this is right for your business, it's really going to help you. If your business doesn't follow this process, then it's probably not going to work. But if it does and it helps you, I really do wish you the best with all your project management. Thank you and goodbye.